Welcome, guys, to our very first podcast here. I don't know if you're listening or watching, but we are going to do something with this, either post it on Facebook, YouTube, and or podcast places like Spotify and other places. I have done multiple podcasts actually, but I'm being joined by my good friends and beautiful wife. So you guys welcome each other.
What's
Oh,
up, guys?
hi.
Okay, so very shy.
Good
Um,
friend, good friends. I would say best friends, actually. We're
yeah, best
best
friends.
friends.
This is definitely it's definitely going to be beyond a podcast. It's going to be therapy for us as well.
Ooh.
Um,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
the idea came from just a tug in the heart of I did a podcast years ago, not that long ago, but years ago in Oklahoma with another friend of mine, Christian based, and it really pushed me to go beyond my boundaries of Christianity, but also study more. So I really wanted to do something get like that again. So I invited my wife before anyone, and then my best friend Wolf. So this podcast being the first one, we're gonna be just introducing ourselves, letting you guys know where we come from, where we've been, and where we're at now. And then maybe do some fun Reddit stories that I found online and give our opinions on it. So I guess I'll let my wife, ladies goes first, start with first, where did you start Christianity? Is it something you were born with, born into, or what? Go for it.
Okay, so I was raised in a Christian family. I come from fifth generation. I'm the fifth generation that's in ministry. Um, so my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, they're all pastors. Um, but my dad didn't become a pastor until I think it was maybe 5 years ago. So I became a PK later in life. But before that, he was an elder in the church, so I kind of know what it's like to grow up under the telescope, anyways. We used to attend a non-denominational church, was what it was classified as, but it really followed the apostolic movement, so it was a little more on the charismatic side. Um, I got baptized in that church when I was 8 years old, which, in my opinion, I wish I would have done it later in life because at 8 years old, like, what sins did I have? Um, but anyways, I got baptized, and then I had a strong pull to continue to be a Christian, but I really wanted to be a Christian in more of like the secular world. So I wanted to be studying business administration, but like in a Christian school. I wanted that biblical foundation. So I went to Dallas Christian College and I took business administration for a while. But then as I was in those classes and I dabbled into a little bit of worship theology, I was more interested in that. So I changed my major to interdisciplinary studies so that I could have business administration, worship arts, and then, of course, Bible. And that's where we met. That's where Urban and I met. That's where Josh and I met, or Wolf, I call him Wolf. Um, yeah,
That's where me and Wolf met. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we
Like
all
the
met,
audience, they're
we
wondering,
all
like,
met.
yeah.
and we've been friends
It's
for
Over
13,
12 years.
over 12,
yeah, like 13 years.
I
eh,
have the exact dates of when we
eh,
became friends. I have it written
eh,
down.
Oh,
So
eh.
I'm just kidding. I don't, but
Yeah,
I
has
know when
it
we
been
first met
13?
and then we
yes.
became friends like shortly
Well,
after.
Well,
So
I
it's
was
12.
gonna say, I think Wolf and I became friends before you and him did, but we weren't
Yeah,
like best friends. We were just friends.
we
Like,
were just friends. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
we
just
were.
friends. And then
And same thing when me and Wolf met, we we were kind of forced into being roommates. The roommates I had were all older than me because I was classified as senior since I was a freshman. So I
Yeah.
always ended up with older guys, and like every semester they would just graduate. They would graduate. So I would
Yeah,
change, I think for
I
like two
know.
years. Well, I had a friend from high school by my first year, but then after that, for about a year and a half, I had different senior um, friends that just graduated as they went, and then I think a summer we were kind of forced to be together because there was no one
No,
else
it's not like for you're saying
to.
forced like we were really forced. It was
Well, I
kind of
know.
like
I mean, I'm not saying
we
like it
kind
was
of
a
wanted
bad thing. I'm just
we kind of
saying.
wanted to be roommates a little, you know.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
no. We
I'm
we
like I'm cool with
wanted.
you, you're cool with me, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like if I had a
yeah.
problem with you, I'd be like, "Can is there any way we can stop this roommate thing from happening?" Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. So you went to college, you got your degree. What happened next? Because that's been 8 years ago.
Wow.
Just
Been eight
For
years.
me
So,
too, 8 years. Wow.
yeah.
so when I graduated, I got married a week later, and automatically I became a pastor's wife. And so again, I was still kind of under the telescope, is it a telescope? No, microscope.
Microscope.
The
Yes.
microscope.
Yes.
Um,
We understood you the first
The
time.
telescope. I know what you meant when you said telescope. We know it.
well,
I think everyone
some
else knows
people
too.
watch from a distance, some people watch really
We're
close.
close by.
But they're
Both.
watching. So anyways, I was under the microscope, or that's what it felt like anyways. Um, but oddly enough, I was working in like the most secular place ever. I was working at Ulta, and so I mean, you're like in the pit of the world in that industry because you have all sorts of different types of people under one roof. That's just how I'm going to put it for now. Um, so I tried as much as I could to use the biblical and the worship part of my degree in that career, but of course it was very difficult. So the business side of me got used a lot. But on the side, I did volunteer at the church, or I mean, sometimes I was on staff or not staff, I guess like what is it?
You were on the payroll.
I was on the payroll. Okay.
I think that
So
counts. Yeah, that
Yeah.
counts then.
I mean, you were staff, but you weren't
Right.
you weren't senior staff. You were just
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I
That's
had
kind of what you're trying to
I had
say.
different titles on the side as well. So I was the children's ministry assistant at one period of time, and then I was a preschool teacher, a preschool Sunday school teacher for another period of time, and then I was the children's ministry worship director, and then of course we helped lead worship. And I say of course because I mean that was the minimal part of our degree that we got to use.
Yeah,
And why I say we because it's
yeah,
Urban and I.
yeah,
And I think that's it, right? Am I
yeah.
missing another
No,
thing? I
no,
think that's
no. And we moved 3, 4 years ago to the valley,
I
and
helped with that. I helped move all
yes.
you did,
Wait, I
yeah,
didn't
move all their
mention
stuff.
that this was in Oklahoma. So we studied in Dallas, and then a week later, after I graduated, I moved to Oklahoma, and that's where we were. That's
yeah,
where we were serving.
yeah. And we were there. Well, at least I was there for 6 years and a half, to the dot almost. And Amadis was there for 5 years.
Hmm.
5 years. So then we moved over here to the valley, and now what are you serving in? Give details.
Oh, well, so we kind of took a step back, but it still feels like we're doing a lot. So, here in the valley, we attend a church, but we really just attend. We don't serve in that church.
Hmm.
And then we try to travel every other weekend or sometimes once a month to Eagle Pass, and we serve at my parents' church. So we're technically the young adult pastors, or not pastors, I guess young adult leaders.
Leaders. Yeah.
But that they're so hard to lead, I guess, because
I
not
know.
not
I
because they're
know.
bad or anything. It's just that
Mm.
since they're all, grown working people, it's hard to get together with them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
We
there's
really just kind of touch base with them, make sure that everything's okay
make
with
sure that
them.
they're okay. Yeah,
Kind of like mentors to
every
them.
once in a while I'll send them devotionals, and like those come from me. I'll be, spending time in the word, and then something comes to me and I'll just send it to them. And then uh we help in other areas of the church. So um or let me speak for myself. So I I teach at the church as well. They mainly put me with the little smaller children, which is fine because that's what I'm used to. So it'll be the 0 to 5 years old, I believe. And then I do background vocals for the worship team. They haven't trusted me to lead a song yet, but again, that's okay because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah. So, just one last thing. 'Cause I know we promised to keep these small testimonies to about 5 minutes, and I'm pretty sure there's been longer.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
But
you
just
know.
one last thing. What is your job right now? Your actual job?
My job.
Yes, your actual job.
Well, okay. So
Keep it under a minute.
I'm gonna try. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But I do graphic design on the side, and then I close my bow shop and my clothes shop, but I still do customs for that. So every once in a while I'll get a bow order or a clothes order. And then I try to do those wholesale for other small shops as well. And I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah, so you can tell she's been kind of done a lot of stuff in the church, inside and out. Yes.
You keep banging the table and it shakes my camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I keep trying to tell you.
Okay, that's part of my anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
we didn't
It's
even said
it's
our title of our podcast, does someone want to say it?
Unfiltered Faith. No one said
Um,
it, but might as well say it now.
Unfiltered Faith, yeah.
No one said it.
And the reason we chose that name, one is we are not putting a filter to our podcast, and that in many ways. One, we're not keeping it to a specific denomination, and as you can see, she came from one place, is now in a different place. You'll see the same thing about Wolf and me. But also, we're not affiliated, or the podcast itself is not affiliated to a church. It's not affiliated to any organization whatsoever. So we're not being filtered by anything else. It's just three friends talking about Christian topics, and sometimes they'll be serious, sometimes not so serious. So yeah, let's hear about Wolf. Wolf. Where did you start? Where were you? And where you are now?
Absolutely. Well, I'm in Florida now. And I used to live in Texas, obviously. That's where we all met.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's kind of hard to keep this to 5 minutes considering, we are starting to get up there in age. So we have a lot of life we've lived already,
Yes.
Mhm.
obviously. And then when you said it's been 8 years since we graduated college, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Well, it's
wow.
been 9 for me, but yes.
I know you just rub
We're
it in. You graduated earlier,
we're about to have
just
our
rub it
10-year
in.
reunion, if that's
Yeah,
gonna.
our 10-year reunion from college. That's
Yeah.
From
crazy.
college, not high
That's
school.
crazy. Yeah, not high school. That's how old we are. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. We'll just give a little background on myself. I don't want to bore everyone. But I grew up in the church. My mom was mostly the one who had us going to church every Sunday. I was in Sunday school. Every Sunday I went to Wednesday night Bible studies. Um, I was baptized when I was 7 years old. And like Amari said, I feel like, at 7 years old, I didn't really quite understand what I was doing. I kind of just did it just to go along with what everyone else did. And I just thought it's something that I had to do. And then over time, I stayed in the church and it was mostly more on the Pentecostal side of things I grew up in. My dad was kind of in Methodist and then Baptist, and then my mom was more on the Pentecostal and non-denominational. So I grew up, experiencing different sorts of church environments as I was growing up. I became, more involved and more into the church as I got older and became a teenager. That's when I started, reading the Bible for myself. I started thinking for myself, and that's when I, gained a passion for God, Jesus, the Bible, and that's what led me to want to go to Dallas Christian. I was very interested in missions work when I first went to DCC. I saw myself potentially like being a missionary, traveling to different countries, spreading the good news. And as I was my time in college, I was more into like youth ministry. I did a couple of youth camps. I did Saltines, which is like a youth camp, like a music high school camp, I guess is the quickest way to describe it. So did that, and then I did a youth internship actually in Oklahoma with Irvin. We
Oh
did a
yeah,
yeah, we did that. He
I
totally
forgot.
forgot about it. Yeah, I lived in Oklahoma too. So we did that, youth internship, and yeah, I had a passion for teaching. I love, talking and teaching and that sort of thing. So, um, and over time, I did work as a youth pastor directly after I graduated college. Was about a year and a half, almost 2 years. I was a youth pastor, mostly part-time. While I was a youth pastor, I was working in sales. I felt like sales and ministry, they kind of the skills kind of translated a bit,
That's what I
just
was
a
saying.
bit.
Yeah.
Relationship building, critical thinking, conflict resolution, a lot of things go into, sales and ministry, and they both can be, exhausting and stressful at times. But yeah, I was doing both of those jobs for a while. Eventually, I stopped doing. We'll probably get more into the reasons as to why. We'll let you guys know. You'll get all the details soon. But I stopped being a youth pastor, and now I've just been in sales and recruiting for like the past 6 years. And that's what I'm doing now is I work in sales, and all types of sales I've worked in. So like
Yeah,
from real estate to like tech sales, I've been in, and yeah, I'm really hoping, to,
yeah,
share a lot of, things in this podcast, and
yeah.
just for us to,
And,
have a place to discuss, unique topics. We have open minds and we're willing to, explore, different, topics and ideas and, bounce them off of each other. And, I'm really hoping to shine light on new perspectives for everyone, and offer some of our thoughts and insight into different scenarios and perspectives. And, yeah, I'm hoping it'll be like, a little informative, very entertaining for everyone. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I know it was kind of a little scattered, but
yeah.
it was kind of all over the
Now
place.
the church you attend now, what denomination does it stand on?
So, I moved to Florida. Still getting used to the area.
Yeah,
Right now, I would say it's more non-denominational. I go to it's VU Church here in Miami. Our good friend Christopher Martinez, he leads worship there. So
yes,
I
yes,
attend there, and the drive is pretty far, but yeah, that's where I would go now.
yeah. Okay.
We didn't
Not
really
very
talk
involved at
about
all.
the
Not involved.
denominations of the churches we're at now, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
No.
you can dabble in that.
Well, the church that we attend here, they consider themselves now non-denominational, but they came from uh,
Assemblies of
the
God.
Assemblies of God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my in-laws' church, well, they branched out, not really branched out, but they became their own church. So they also kind of follow the non-denominational. Um, and I kind of feel like my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, they themselves have
different
different
worship style.
backgrounds
Yeah.
as well because they came from different walks as well. So I eventually, like Wolf said, we're not giving full testimonies because that's going to be part of the podcast. We'll share stories, we'll share experiences, maybe
Yes.
more of our actual testimonies eventually in the podcast, but really just trying to let you guys know where we come from, where we stand. But yeah, those are the churches we attend. And the reason we attend two churches is because we do travel quite a bit to where my in-laws live, which is about a 5 hour drive. And we don't like to miss church on Sundays. So we attend their church and we serve there. And then the church here where we live, we have applied. It's a way bigger church, massive church. We've applied to help. So far, we're not helping. We're not serving yet, but I think in the future we will. I don't know. Me, myself, and I have a whole different background from.
Wait. Did Wolf finish? Sorry.
Wait, yeah, you didn't even ask if I
Okay.
was done.
Because I
Wow.
interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Wow, I am done, but you just didn't ask.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
there was no clear the end, but I
The
understood
end.
it was the end.
Amen. The end.
Okay.
All right.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
So I'll do mine pretty quickly. There and I've been thinking about this. There's really three important men in my life that really directed what's my faith now. So very similar to them. My parents did attend church since I was a baby, but I was a Catholic, so I attended to the Roman Catholic Church in Houston. Then we moved when I was around 7 years old to here where we live now, the Valley, and my dad had been a choir boy and played piano and guitar for churches all his youth life, really, while he was learning instruments. So he really wanted us to be part of the choir. So because of his push, we joined the choir in church, and it became a thing. It blew up. We all attended church. It was no matter what, we were there. Practices Tuesdays, classes on Wednesdays. We helped on classes on Saturdays. We were there Saturday night, and then if any other person needed, any other choir or service needed, or masses needed help on Sundays, we were there. Um, it was ingrained since little that church came first, and um, my dad was never the highly spiritual person when it came to like knowing the word by word. But I will give him the credit of he brought me to the word, which a lot of parents, might not do. So he did bring me to the word. The second man is the priest of the church. So because I became very active in the choir, I got very close to one of the nuns there, and through the nun, I became close to one of the priests. And I think, in comparison to other Catholics or people like me that are not Catholics anymore but started Catholic, I had the blessing of being able to ask someone directly, like a priest, all my questions, all my doubts, and really learning more of the word beyond a typical mass. So I will say that is different from other people. But then I went to Dallas Christian College. I felt a pull there. The priest himself, he even encouraged me to go there. He paid, even to the last year, he paid for all my books, and more. So he was a blessing for many years, and even now, to be honest. So I was there in Dallas Christian College. I did meet my wife there and my best friend, Wolf. And I did not graduate quite yet. I think I had about almost a semester and a half left when I got called into working into Oklahoma. They were looking for a minister. Happened to be that one of the professors was raised in that church, and he put a good word in for me, and I got hired on a December, and everything just worked out. I mean, the school made it where I could finish my degree online. The church made it where they moved me completely. They provided a home for me. Like it really was a blessing. And like Amadis in her testimony said, we were there for about, or at least I was 6 years and a half, and till the day I do miss it. I do really miss ministry. I was the community outreach, and it's just a fancy way to say that I was a Hispanic pastor. But beyond that, I was in the music ministry and so many ministries that the church has. And that church was also, it affiliates now to non-denominational, but they were disciples of Christ at one point, then became non-denominational. We moved. She didn't really sure why we moved, but we moved a few years ago because her father had had a heart attack, and my dad got into a wheelchair and then was having heart problems as well. And we knew that we have to come closer to them to be with them, at least for a time being, for them to recover or whatever it was. So that's the reason we moved and we were here. And now, like she says, we attend two churches. One where I do help with the ministry and music. We're not the main persons, which is fine. I've never really. Um, I've never really felt like I need to be the main person in the music. So I do play guitar and I help with vocals as well when needed. And I enjoy it when I can. And when I can't, I enjoy seeing my brother and sister-in-law lead worship. And that's just, I keep moving your camera. I'm sorry. That's just something
Okay,
that.
Wolf was moving his own camera, so.
I know my camera's shaking around. They're gonna wonder what's going on. I'm like,
That's something that I
I,
really enjoy.
I have a problem
Yeah.
with
If
kicking.
you were to ask me where I stand in my faith now, I would say I'm a little bit interdenominational. And in the sense of, I follow a lot of Christian men that are apolog apologists of the word. Is that the word? What's the word I'm
I
looking
don't.
for?
They're
I think that's correct.
apologetic,
Yes, apologetic. So
but
they basically they preach the word in
Defenders of the
public,
faith.
and they defend the word from with non-Christian believers, right? And a lot of them stand in this belief, which is inside all denominations, there will exist a good group and a bad group. So I am a true believer, and again, this is my belief, not their belief. My belief is that in most denominations, you're talking about Catholic, you're talking about non-denominational, even Pentecostal and apostolic and all those, and Baptist, you have a group that truly believe in the Word of God and truly are working to be closer to God. Let it be that maybe they are wrong in two, three things, and we can argue in those things and maybe never come to agreement, but they are truly in love with the Word of God, in love with in a relationship with God, and working for a better life as well. And they believe the core beliefs in Christianity. And I also believe that there is a group that messes it up for everyone else in each church. And I think no church will be perfect. So there's many topics in what I just said,
yeah.
but for
Yeah,
example, should you be a church hopper, right? We've met many people that church hop trying to find the perfect church.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Why are you raising him? No.
Is there a perfect
Um,
church? And we did that. We church
I
hopped
church
here
hopped
as
a lot.
well. So like there is obviously.
I think there is a difference between like visiting a church to find one versus attending different churches.
Yeah, again.
Because I know somebody that I'm not gonna say any names right now. Maybe if she gets me mad, maybe.
No, 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 no. We're not gonna. No, no, no.
No
Okay.
name dropping, huh?
God, we're getting aggressive already.
Already on the first episode,
Anyway,
already
she
name dropping.
attends 7 different churches,
Oh
but
wow.
she's a member
Of
Oh,
7 different
of
awesome.
churches?
7 churches.
See
That sounds
that
exhausting.
there's
That sounds
there's
exhausting.
something wrong there. So there's topics
Right.
there. Yeah.
How many church memberships should a person have? That's a good. We'll have
Yeah.
that talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is 7 too many?
So, yes.
Or should we have even more than 7? Probably not. Probably not. Probably not.
Is seven the holy number?
That is the perfect number. That's
That's probably
number of
where
completion.
she
That's
where
where she got
she
it
thinks.
from.
Yeah, that's probably where she gets it from.
But well, and like you said, we've mentioned this a few times already. We're gonna do different topics. One that I'm interested in, it might be a later in the season of this podcast, is rebaptism. Especially for people like you guys, like there is a gray area. Was 8 years old too young? Some people would say it's not too young, right? Obviously, your parents didn't think it was too young. So, and it could be now that they think now that it's too young, right? Because I know if I talk to my father-in-law as a pastor, there's been 8-year-olds that he talks to, and he's like, you know what? They're not ready. So it could be also that his beliefs changed, or maybe that Amadis was just a very mature young lady at her age.
Well,
But that's a topic for a different day.
yes.
Today's topic, and each podcast, like I told them before this, one of us will take the lead. Um,
Did
you-
you give us a third person?
oh, I
You
did not
didn't.
give the third person. Wow, the third person
Wow, good.
is.
Someone see, I knew she was gonna keep track of stuff
Yes.
like that.
You know
That's
what?
how we.
I was getting
I
too
knew it.
emotional. I didn't show it on camera. Internally,
No,
I was
I
very
I
emotional.
was too.
So,
Yes.
and this is the reason why. The third person was Mark Worley. Mark Worley,
Oh,
really, really fought for me, to be the person that I am now. When it comes to like financially, when it comes to supporting, and I really was not a touchy person and not a physical person growing up. But there is 3 men that hugged me, and I can remember hugs from each 3 of those men that really meant so much. And no one else has hugged me like that. And when I say that is I truly believe that these 3 men were foundational to my belief system, because through those hugs, I felt love that I've never felt anywhere else. And I can
wow.
only say that that love is Jesus Christ. Obviously, one was my father, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. We'll never be able to hug him again. Mark Worley pushed so hard for me. Even as I worked in Oklahoma, he would visit and check on me as well. And unfortunately, he passed away as well. So I won't be able to reach out to him anymore. And then the last time that I was able to hug the priest, he still is alive. He gave the mass for my father. My father was still Catholic, up to the day he died. So he gave the mass for my dad, and he did not push me away or anything. Um, I approached him, and I remember the exact words he said. He said, "I hope you still remember your old pastor." And he specifically used that word. To me, it meant a lot that he was showing, one, that there was respect in the sense of, I'm not going to call myself a priest if you don't want me to be called a priest. Um, and I said, of course, I still remember you. And he opened his arms, and I hugged him. And that hug meant so much for me. It meant nothing to most people that were there, but to me that meant so much. So Yeah, those three men are the only men that, and not trying to insult you, Wolf, but
Well, our relationship's a little different,
I'm not
obviously.
your wife.
We're not, I'm not
well,
a
you're not a
father.
man.
I'm not a man.
I
What are you
never
talking?
felt love like that before.
No, we're just like, we're
Okay.
like brothers. We're like brothers, not fa not a, we're not father figures for each
Yeah, I
other.
mean,
We're more like
and
brothers. That's just
it's
a
weird.
different
It's
sort of
weird to explain
relationship.
it. It's like there really isn't there anything for me to give to them, right? Whereas with you, Wolf, we have this great relationship, but we give and take each other, right? In moments,
Yeah,
whenever I'm having a hard day, I know that I can reach out to you, and vice versa. Whereas these men, when they had their hard days, they never reach out to me. Like I wasn't feeding them; they were
yeah,
feeding me completely. Um, and same thing with my wife. Like
yeah.
obviously, I love my wife. There is a love that I will never experience, probably with no other woman in my life. Hopefully,
Hopefully
but with
not.
her. And that is special to her, but the love that I got for these three men is very special. And obviously, this has been in my heart for the past maybe year or two. Since Worley and my father passed away, just kind of rethinking my testimony where I am now in life. That's definitely something that I've been thinking about, and it really is something that I truly believe that they truly were able to embody that love. Be it that they did it intentionally, or be it that they did it without any intention. So. Yeah. Okay. I was not trying to get in the serious mode
We're
today.
already about to start crying on the first episode.
I'm
Wow.
trying to hold
No,
the
so
tears
like
from coming
that,
out.
I never heard you like I knew that, but I never heard you like describe it that way before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah. I
about to get
mean,
emotional.
yeah, obviously,
Obviously it's different.
I didn't even
Yeah.
say it. I did preach. I've preached before, and I've still had some chances to preach here and there, but not as much. But yeah. Anyways, uh, back to this podcast. What I was saying is, every podcast we're gonna each and one of us will lead the podcast. This first one, I'm leading it because I've had a little bit more experience. I've had podcasts, both Christian and secular. Um, I've done podcasts when it comes to Christian topics, very serious, but also very light. And then on the secular side, I've done movies and shows and other stuff with other friends as well here on YouTube. So um, I guess I was entrusted to do the first podcast just for the experience. But in reality, we're all coming in new into this, so hopefully you guys like it. We're gonna start with the second part of the podcast, which is reading some Reddit stories that we found on Reddit, which we think are, well, at least I'm the one that picked them. I think they're interesting to talk about. Some might be funny, some not so funny. But yeah, let's just have some fun now. Hopefully, not get more teary-eyed again.
I know.
Do
No more crying for
apologize.
tonight. No more cry. No more tears, please.
I think
No more
we all
crying
take
there.
deep breaks.
No more tears.
Yeah, 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 and
I
obviously,
wasn't. I knew. I felt like maybe I'm gonna cry on one of these episodes, but I didn't expect to almost cry on the first one.
I was gonna say, then like for future reference, I'm just gonna have like a little packet of Kleenex here.
yeah,
We're gonna
gosh,
change it to unfiltered crying. That'll be
yeah,
the name of
yeah,
it.
we're being unfiltered faith right now. For sure. We do have some ideas, but if you guys have ideas of podcasts of maybe what you want to hear, or what you want us to discuss, please let us know in any of the places that we're posting this. I know Amaris is very big with Facebook, so she'll probably be looking at Facebook. I'm bigger at YouTube, so I'll probably look at the YouTube stuff, and Wolf does his own thing.
I'm a little bit of all of it.
A little bit of all, yeah. And we're gonna post some of this stuff everywhere. Yes.
I didn't share something that's really big about me.
Okay, go for
Can
it.
you think about
Okay.
what it is? Just think about everything I spoke and
You
think.
Well,
forgot that
several
you
things you
had
didn't
four
share.
kids.
No, I
The
mean, yes
children.
and
You mentioned
no.
We have
she
four
was a
We
kids.
have
mom.
four kids. No,
Four girls.
Yes.
so a big part of like who I am and who like or what I did and continue to do a little bit of is dance ministry.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
mention it at all,
You
but
dance, yeah.
I
That's what I was thinking of, but I was
but
like, is
no,
that what
it's
you're gonna
that
say?
I started doing that when I was 6 years old. And I mean, I still try to do it as much as I can now, but of course, I don't do it as much as I did when I was younger. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she is a dancer. So, okay. Any ideas? No. We're jumping around. It is the first podcast. That's okay. So I'm gonna move on to the Reddit stories that I found, and I found this from Reddit Christianity. You have a big portion of them are Christians, but you do have people that maybe have left the faith. So today we're going to be talking about bad church experiences, and I understand some people don't like to see the bad side of church, but sometimes it's good to see where we can grow from, right? The Apostle Paul wrote all his letters not because he wanted to say congrats and all the things you're doing good, but to correct all the stuff that was wrong. So, in Lightheart, we're going to talk about some of this stuff, and we're going to start with the most December-based Reddit, and it's very very short. We
Okay.
are posting this on the first week of December, so recording it prior to that, but it is going to be in December. So I thought this was appropriate for it. So, okay, here we go. Are you guys ready, by the way?
Yeah.
You
Let's
guys-
do it.
Okay. So this person, Captain Panichi, I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing that right. He said the church bad experience he had was the Christmas event was just about the Grinch and Santa Claus, and both were ziplined over the congregation. That's it. So,
A lot
um,
to unpack into
Zip lined over the
a
concrete. What does
small
that
house.
mean?
zip
Like they
line.
have like a zip line, like on a like
They
someone
installed
dressed
a
up as the
zip
Grinch, like
line
zip
in the
line,
church.
a
Yeah,
zip line. So
zip
that's
line. Yeah,
a
yeah,
literal
literally,
zip line
literally,
in the
literally.
church.
So
Wow.
I'm gonna say it. I know a church, and I won't say the church's name, but I know a church in northern Texas that has a Christmas event where they'll zip line angels, they'll zip line Santa Claus across with like a Rudolph or whatever. And they pay big money for this, and I believe the events they charge. I
I
don't.
think it's a fundraiser or something.
Yeah, like it's not. You can't
Yeah.
go in for free. I
No.
don't think this is the church this person is mentioning, which is crazy that there's more than one church that does this. But two things to unpack, okay, from this Reddit story. One, what do we think about zip lines in church? Two, what do we think about the Grinch and Santa Claus in church? Go for it.
Okay.
Okay. You
Who's
want to
gonna
go
go
first?
first?
I can go first. You can go first. I have a couple of thoughts already.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Wolf.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to say that it's necessarily wrong for a church to have a Grinch, a Santa, a zip line. I don't think it's necessarily, wrong. It, depends on the situation, depends on the congregation, the church, the expectations. To me now, if I were running things, I feel like it could be, that doesn't sound cheap to me. That doesn't sound cheap. I don't know if that would be
No.
the best use of funds. I don't really understand the complete purpose of it. Um, you know, but I don't necessarily think it's like a wrong thing to have a Grinch or Santa or a zip line. I'm just thinking there might be a better use of the funds,
Yes.
just because like it does sound like it would be costly. And then I really don't know. It's very entertainment based. I don't see where how that's really inspiring people or where the message is. Is that really what, the church is trying to do in the community? Not saying that not saying entertainment is bad. It's just like, where are the priorities here? Is what my
Yeah.
thought process
I-
is when I see the Grinch and Santa and the zip line. It's not saying it's wrong. It's just like, it just brings more questions to me.
yeah, and
That's
I
all it
think
does.
it
It just
also
highlights some questions.
I think it also matters that it says it was the Christmas event. So I'm not really sure what that means. I'm not sure if this was like a special service they did for Christmas or if this was Christmas Eve. This is their only service for Christmas Eve, and they have Santa and the Grinch, right? So it could be two different things, and I know what you're saying. Like if this is like for kids ministry, we're trying to attract
Yeah.
people that maybe are outside of our church, and to bring them in, we're doing something fun like the Grinch and Santa. I can see how that can be a outreach, and I'm doing quotation marks for those that are listening and not watching. Outreach ministry for some people, and I can see that. Zip line on a church, on a congregation. Unfortunately, at least I don't know what you think or what Amaris thinks,
I'll
but
get to it.
I don't believe that funds should be spent in anything that will be installed into the sanctuary that is not going to sanctify, I guess, the sanctuary. So I almost feel like in a way is tainting the area that should be used for worship. So what do you think, Amadeus?
So, um, on based off of the zip line, as a person that grew up in the dance ministry, if we had a zip line in the church that we could use for skits or for, dance ministry stuff,
Mhm.
I think that'd be kind of cool. And but not just kind of cool, but like I feel like it could relay a message of some sort, like how you were mentioning like the other church that used it for angels and stuff like that. Like if for whatever reason we can, relate a biblical message with the zip line, then yeah, I'm all for it. But for it to be used as a form of entertainment, like only entertainment, that's where I would be against it.
Yeah.
But
And
what
see
if,
the church that I attend, the Catholic church that I attend had a pulley system on the very top of the church. They had a pulley system and it was only used once a year, and that was for Christmas Eve. They had a real donkey in the church, and they had the high school kids, always the seniors were the ones that portrayed Mary and Joseph, and they would walk from the back of the church all the way to the front under a Christmas song, and then someone would do the pulley, and the pulley was a star, right? So to me, that's entertaining, but it's also in a way that is still keeping it biblical, all right?
Right.
Or like in a way to not
yeah.
insult the church, I guess.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we can get into a gray
Right.
area. Like, it could be very relative, to what the intention is, what the experience is, of people.
Yeah,
So like, say the zip line, like, what if they used it for what you might call, message producing, or like, trying to, you know, um, like sharing a Bible story, like the Christmas play, like you mentioned, for dance,
yeah,
you have all these things that have a clear purpose, a clear, message they're trying to send. They use that throughout most of the year, and then just every once in a while they do some entertainment stuff. So the
yeah.
zip line is primary use for that. Does that change your perspective on it? Is it like the primary use? Does that change your perspective?
Wait, so going back to, because I didn't even talk about the Grinch and the
Yeah.
Santa, which
Mm.
goes along with that. So I don't know if I remember you reading it correct, or like I don't know if I understood the message right. Did it say that it was all about the Grinch and Santa?
Yeah,
Okay,
event was
Just about the
just
Grinch and
just
about
Santa.
Grinch
about
and
Grinch
Santa.
and Santa.
So it's
Okay,
all, yeah, Grinch
so
and
in my
Santa.
opinion, yes, especially if this is like a worship service, that's not okay because it should be all about Christ. It should be all about Jesus being born. You know, that's a story
Yeah.
that everybody needs to hear
That should be
on
the drive for
Christmas Day.
Christmas.
That should be the
Mhm.
drive for Christmas.
Yeah,
So
even if it's not Christmas Day, even if it was just the Christmas event, so the Saturday before of Christmas,
What
um,
if they took out Christmas and was just like, it's just a fun event at the church with Grinch and Santa?
see, that's different.
that's
That's
Is that
different.
different?
I think
You just don't like the
that could
Christmas
be,
with
you know,
Grinch and
if it's like a
Santa.
youth group, and
Uh,
again, they're trying to attract newcomers, I think that's different. Um, but to put a full production, because this sounds like it was a full production. If you have a zip
yeah,
line, it's a full production.
yes. And I'm not like I don't want to offend anyone who does have a zip line or uses Grinch and
eh,
Santa because I'm not saying like it's necessarily a wrong thing. And also I don't even know like I don't know anything about, church, stuff and like all the equipment and I don't know anything about like how much stuff costs. So I'm
Yeah.
like I don't understand it.
A zip line is expensive. I'm coming from the perspective. I helped in remodeling the sanctuary of our church a couple of times because there was a couple remodeling to it, and I was able to see prices of stuff. Um, and things that you think that won't cost that much. I mean, especially if the building is older, it's going to be expensive because you're not talking about just installing a system. You're holding a person, right? So there's
Hmm.
a lot of safety measures that have to go into it, and you have to completely add not just a zip line, but other measures that will protect that person from falling, from if they fall, are they going to be protected? How will they be protected and all that? So there's a lot of things that go behind to installing just one thing.
Mm.
I remember back in Oklahoma, I wanted to really help the church get into doing live videos. And I'm like, yo, yeah, I'll do it in a week or two. I'll put some cameras up. I ended up spending thousands of dollars before I knew it to get the proper equipment that ran, that wouldn't heat up on us, that wouldn't freeze on us. We needed a zoom control, and that cost money because the specific cable had to be created by someone, and it was just it adds up. So
Okay.
there is a lot of money behind that. So
See, when I was a youth pastor, I was very cheap, had a very small budget. So the idea of a zip line never crossed my mind. I
yeah,
would never
no,
imagine or
right.
think of something like that.
This has to be a mega
it
church.
has to be a mega church.
Like it gives mega church
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah.
But I was gonna say because Wolf said like, is it all about if it's all about or what do you think if it's all about the zip line? And for me, it goes back to like the Santa and Grinch thing. That's what where I was trying to make that connection. If it becomes all about a certain thing that is not Jesus, that's where it becomes wrong. So, in my opinion, because you guys said like that you think it's okay if Santa and Grinch like make an appearance or like you don't think it's wrong. But in my opinion, if for some reason Santa or Grinch don't they don't show that they come to the feet of Jesus, then I don't think they should have been there.
Yeah.
Like
Would it be, by you saying is it wrong, is it more based on the fact they're associating Christmas, which is supposed to be about Jesus with the Grinch and Santa, or is it more based on the fact that you believe the church should be all about Christ? Which one is it? Is it both?
I think in a way it's both, yeah. Um, just because I mean, especially if you think about typically Christmas services, these people only attend church. Or a lot of people that are attending the Christmas service, they only attend around Christmas time or Easter time,
Yeah.
sometimes only Christmas. So we want to be able to definitely show the gospel as much as possible. And again, like you guys said, like, having the Grinch and the Santa is not wrong. And I agree to an extent. They would, in my opinion, they would have to have them as a part of, like a skit or something where they show them becoming Christians, or not necessarily becoming Christians,
I
but
see.
Get
at
the Grinch
least
I
baptized.
don't think it needs to be that
baptized, at least
like, but that's very direct. I
at
think it can be
least
more subtle.
for them to have them see some sort of like
Yeah.
nativity scene or
Yeah.
something where
See,
But
and
you can
this is
use. Sorry, you want to?
well, I'm going to say this is one of the hard things that we're going to experience, and we might have to bring someone else, maybe eventually feature someone else, but we we can't, at least all three of us can't really put the perspective into someone who has not been church all their life, right?
Yeah,
Even if we stop going for church
Mhm.
for some periods of our lives, we've all been at least somewhat active in church going, right?
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, if we try to put our perspective into a person who doesn't know about church, they're coming into church and they see something familiar like Christmas and Grinch, what is going to be the perspective? Is it going to be a negative? Is it going to be positive? Now, if we see something, and again, this is crazy, but let's say we have the Grinch get baptized in Christmas,
which
okay?
I'm
Wait,
not
okay.
advocating for that. I
If-
think you can tie in Santa and the Grinch to the story of Christ, and
That's what I'm saying.
you
Yeah,
can use
yeah,
that as practical application.
for sure.
yeah,
You can
yeah. I
you can
don't.
find an analogy there
Yeah, I don't know, like
to tie
I
it
don't know, getting
in.
the Grinch baptized or like
Yeah, we don't need to be as
him
direct
at
as
the
like the
feet of
Grinch.
Christ
Yeah, the
would be
Grinch, like,
attractive to a newcomer.
yeah. I think it can have a more subtle way of sharing a
There is
message.
other subtle
I wish the
ways.
person that made that post told us, like, if they're a
The
frequent
context.
churchgoer or not,
Yeah,
because if if they, for whatever reason, were not a frequent churchgoer and they went and they saw, the Grinch in the sense, and they said it was all about them, and they had a zip line. Um, then we could see from their perspective that even like someone that doesn't go to church that much was like, "Ooh, I don't think this is good."
yeah.
Yeah.
That is going to be our last Reddit story. Wolf should be right back, hopefully, for the conclusion of this podcast. But that is the last Reddit story. We are past an hour for sure. We will try our best to do better at keeping it around an hour. I do appreciate everyone who's listening, especially up to this point. If you're listening up to this point, it's because you really cared. So thank you, thank you so much.
Because they thought we were gonna talk bad about them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who are they gonna mention? We promise we're not gonna mention any names of our friends or family members if we do use their stories.
Unless
Um,
they give us permission.
unless they give us permission, yeah, obviously, or if they end up joining us here in the podcast. But we will try our best to keep everyone as private as possible. Um,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. We're concluding, so we're coming to an end. We're just saying that we're gonna be respectful, not really include people's names on stories, stuff like that, especially if it's personal stuff, unless it's really things that like Wolf said, he attends church with Chris Martinez, which
Which
that
he would like. He'd be
it
okay with
doesn't really
that.
affect him, right? So.
We're not talking anything bad about
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. So we'll try our best to be very careful with that. And again, we come from different walks. We have different opinions. We have different
Yeah.
stands, and as well as you yourself listening or watching might have your own stance. So please let us know in the comment section. By no means we are asking to offend anyone or hurt anyone's feelings. So maybe we joked around about something that was sensitive to you. I'll be the first one to apologize because sometimes I forget that I find things
Yeah.
that should not be funny, but it is what it is. We'll try to keep as unfiltered as possible in this podcast. Do you have any other comments, guys?
Yeah, I would just, say like, yeah, again, like you said, we're not trying to offend anyone. Anything we say that's related to, a specific, event in your life, we are trying to be compassionate and sensitive to everyone's own experience. We understand everyone's own experience is different. Everyone's own situation is different, and your situation may be related to something we're talking about. But we want to be compassionate to everyone. We want to value everyone's feelings, and these are our opinions and thoughts. They're very much, you're getting the raw opinions and thoughts or the reaction to this article. I really didn't think much about it before this podcast, so you're getting
No,
my just
no.
raw thoughts. And like, ultimately, I may sit down and think about it, and some of my opinions may change, and then we may influence each other to think differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to open people's minds and allow them to see different perspectives. They're my, best friends. They allow me to see new perspectives all the time on different things. And, I think I allow them to see different perspectives as well. Because like Irvin said, we all come from different walks of life. And we're all going to have a unique take on a lot of these situations. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if those are our closing thoughts, I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. Make sure if you're watching us anywhere that has a subscription button, make sure you do subscribe or follow us there. Not sure how big we're gonna start off, but we're gonna at least do a page here and there for you guys to follow. So do that as well. Make sure you share this with anyone that you think will benefit this, and make sure also, what am I saying? To leave a comment on what else you guys want us to talk about. As of for now, we have about 3 or 4 podcasts planned out. Hopefully more for this season. And if it goes well, we might start doing this as a regular thing. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.